Hello, how are we doing today? It's Derek Applegate. This is week 8 of Mindset of Happiness and Joy. Cannot believe it's been 8 weeks already, and it's kind of the, conclusion of our 8-week journey on trying to understand the mindset of happiness and joy. So today is kind of a sum up of what we've learned. And I'm kind of in a different location, so I've got some funnier things behind me than normal. I always love how things are written backwards with this Facebook Live. It's kind of funny that way. But I just want to let you know, I really am grateful for the opportunity I've had to spend this 8 weeks with you. Whether you've been watching it live with me or been watching the recordings on your own time, whether it was on Facebook Live or on YouTube. I plan on keeping them available to the public for free to look at so that you can get hopefully a little bit more information. But I'm also available to, if anybody wants to chat, just kind of, give me a little bit of, just give me an email. Click on my links and we can start the conversation if you want to go in a little bit more detail about this understanding of mindset of happiness and joy. And so today I just kind of want to maybe do some summing up and just kind of see if we can tie everything together in one simple little package and make it a little bit quicker and easier for you maybe to understand it. The company that I started is called Beyond How To Consulting. And the reason why I chose the name Beyond How To was because in my experience of life, in my quote-unquote seeking happiness, seeking a peace of mind and well-being, I always seem to run into all of the how-tos. How to do this, how to do that, how to, whether it's lose weight or whether it's how to make money. And I kind of got caught into the trap that's a very simple trap that people get into, is thinking that there is something to do, there's something to obtain to be able to get yourself a sense of well-being and a sense of happiness, that there's steps and strategies to do. And in my spinning of the wheels, you might say, of my life, I was always looking for the next thing that was going to make me happy, the next thing that was going to give me a sense of well-being. And I was always looking outside of myself for those things. And when I got introduced to this understanding that we've been talking about for the last 8 weeks, I learned that that was an illusion. That was just something that was not necessary to do. That happiness and a sense of well-being is an inside job. It comes from within and then goes out. It doesn't happen the other way around. And for me, that understanding was a game changer. And when I first got understanding this, it was kind of one of the questions I had is, well, what's going to get you to desire to do something? If you already know that you have a sense of well-being, then why would you do anything? Why would you really go out and try to make money or try to lose weight or try to take care of those quote things outside in the world if it's all just, comes from within? And the interesting thing about it is, there's a creative force behind all things in life. There's a formless energy that drives us as human beings to thrive, to be better than where we are at the moment. And there's actually two forms of this life that we're living here. We have what's called the form and the formless. And the form is the things that are tangible. They're the physical realm of this world. And the easiest way I've ever heard to put it is if the size works, in other words, if you can pick it up and put it in a bucket, it's in the form. Now, of course, there are items that are like a building. Is that form or formless? Well, a building, of course, is form. If it was small enough or you had a big enough bucket, it can be put in a bucket. So we have the things in the physical form world that we want to create. And there's great how-tos to create anything out in the physical form. If you wanted to create a business, there are steps to create. If you want to increase your bank account, there are how-tos to do that. The problem that we have is that when we think that the creating of the things in the form will actually bring the formless to us. Let me try to explain that a little bit different. We have the form, which is physical, but we also have the formless. And the formless is things that you just can't put in a bucket. So happiness. I can't put happiness in a bucket. It's formless. It's an energy. Sense of well-being, again, that's a formless energy. It's something we cannot put in a bucket. We also have, confidence, courage, resilience, the ability to thrive. All those formless energies, we can't put them in a bucket, but they're innate. They're a part of who we are. It's a part of our well-being. It's something that we already have as a human being. And one of the problems with the how-tos is a lot of people believe that the physical form actually is tied to the formless in its physical, then to formless. And that's the outside-in understanding. In reality, it's formless to form. For instance, if I wanted to build a house, and I use that because I have built houses, there's a physical how-to to build a house. You've got to start with the foundation. Then you put the floor in, then you put the walls, and then you put the roof. That's just a how-to, and it's common sense. It's just the order that you do it. Now, you could build the roof first, but the pain of getting the roof on the walls, it just doesn't make any sense to do it that way. So in the same concept of it is that if you're building a business, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to make money, if you're trying to do something in the form and think that it's going to get you something from the formless, you're doing the outside in. And it just fundamentally just doesn't work that way. But just as there's a formula or a how-to to build a house, that house came from the creative formless energy. Because to actually build a house, there's also, house plans. There's engineering. There was someone that had to come up with the creativeness to actually design the house. So that creative energy to build that house came from the formless. It came from those innate gifts of creativity, of imagination. And so anything that's in the form comes from the formless. It comes from that spiritual formless energy of life, and then it gets manifest into the form. And that's how, let's say, a house is built. The house just doesn't miraculously show up. You don't start building the house and then all of a sudden, this is how we're actually going to build it. No, you start with the creative process of imagination and creation and creativity, and you design a plan to build that house. And then the house then comes to fruition. So it's an inside out. So when we look at life, to become happy, to have that sense of well-being, when we realize that that's innate, that is the formless energy. And when we have happiness and we have well-being, and we know that no circumstance can take that away and no circumstance can give it to us because we're born with it. That allows us then to create in the form whatever we want to create in our life. The problem with the self-helps and psychology is that they're under the misunderstanding that that formless energy of happiness, joy, of peace, of well-being, of being able to thrive comes from creating something in the form. In other words, if I make enough money, I'm going to be happy. If I grow my business large enough or big enough, then I'll be happy. If I can get that woman or man of my dreams to love me, then I'll be happy. And that's an illusion. And it's the wrong direction because it just does not work that way. It only works one way. It goes from innate well-being, formless energy to whatever it is that we want in the form. And the implications of that is, to me, is very huge. For my own personal life, when I stopped trying to control the outside world, trying to control the circumstances, trying to control, all those things out there to be happy, it was a miserable existence. And when I stopped doing that and realized that my happiness, my joy, my well-being, it was innate, then it's allowed me to just become more aware, to have a greater sense of consciousness of how I experience life as a human being. And so I keep pointing to that same simple truths. We are alive, we are aware, and we think. In this understanding called the three principles, they use the metaphor of mind, consciousness, and thought. And mind, again, is just that understanding that there is that formless energy that creates all things, that's working for our benefit, that's working for our good, that's giving us those innate characteristics of love, of peace of mind, of happiness. And they're there for us at any time that we want. They don't go away. The only thing that makes them seem like they go away is when we slip out and lose a little consciousness and think that life really is an outside-in world. And for me, I used to always be scared of my feelings. And when I really realized that feelings were just a reflection of where my thinking is in the moment. And that's all it's telling me. It's not telling me about who I am. It's not telling me about the circumstances or the situation. It's just telling me where my thinking is. And understanding the nature of thought, of the arbitrary nature of thought, that it's just random. There's no rhyme or reason behind thought. It just pops in, it pops out. It's the understanding of the principle of thought that thought is free-flowing. It just comes and goes. I don't believe that I don't know if they've really done any scientific studies. I know that there's been a few that they've tried to actually determine on how many thoughts that we have in a day. And depending upon the study you read, it's anywhere from 20,000 to 60,000 different thoughts that run through our minds in any given moment of the day. That a thought really can't even stay in our own mind for longer than 10 seconds. Now, it might seem like it's staying in that, but what we're doing is we're just repeating the same thought. We're just adding fuel to that thought. And if it's a thought that gives you a good feeling, then lean into those thoughts. Because those thoughts that give us a good feelings usually are the thoughts that are innate. That's the spiritual energy coming through us, pointing us to a direction. When we start having the frustration thoughts and the feelings become low and the moods become low, it's not telling anything about us. It's just telling us that, our thinking in that moment is getting a little astray. And it's kind of like an engine check light system. When the engine check light comes on, all it's telling you is that, hey, you need to check something going on in your engine. It's just kind of a gauge. And the same thing is feelings aren't telling you need to do anything. It just you need to be aware or have a consciousness that your thinking may be getting a little astray. And you don't have to go into well, what does my thinking mean? And why am I feeling this? And pondering those. It's just, hey, my thinking's getting outside in. It'll change because I understand thought is free flowing. A new thought's going to be along shortly. So I don't need to do my affirmations and try to reframe my thinking and change my thinking in a sense of physically changing my thinking and try to change my thinking, because thought's going to change on its own. So the feeling is the guide. It really is. It's the guide that tells you where your thinking is in the moment. And so if I could get anything, the message spread to people is just really the understanding of our innate well-being, who we are as a human being, and how we are designed and how we experience life. This understanding is not a prescription. It's not a how-to. It's an understanding of a rise of consciousness of who we are as a human being. And a rise of consciousness of where we experience our life from. That experience doesn't come from the outside in. It comes from inside out. We're going to have circumstances that are going to hit us. We're going to have things that we're not going to want to have happen to us. But the circumstance doesn't give us the experience. It's the power and the principle of thought that gives us the experience. Life is neutral. Life and circumstances are just neutral. Judgment, thought, that's what gives us the experience. That's what makes it good or bad. And I'm not talking about being a Pollyanna and an ostrich and putting your head in the sand and saying, ignoring what needs to be taken care of. What I'm saying is that when you know that your well-being is innate, when whatever it is that you're up against comes to you and is in front of you, this understanding of how that spiritual formless energy works, how the concept of our innate well-being, the thing of wisdom and common sense will kick in, and we'll know what to do. We're designed as human beings to thrive. We're designed to deal with reality. When something comes up, if we're in a state of knowing that whatever it is that came up can't take away my well-being, we're in a much better position to just deal with what's in front of us and respond to what's in front of us and stay in the game. I mean, that's a part of life, is just staying in the game. You don't need to just psychobabble things anymore. I mean, that's one of my biggest thought habits that I had was I thought every feeling and every emotion and every behavior was stemmed to some past experience and belief system, and if I was having a struggle, it's because there was something in my past I didn't clean up good enough. And if I could go back in that past and reframe my belief systems about it and change it, then my life would be so much better. And even though that looks really true, it's not. The past doesn't equal the future. The past is the past. The only thing that the past can do to you now is that you have thoughts about the past in the present via the principle of thought. And it has no ability to harm you. It has no ability to give you, to determine, is the right word I'm looking for, to determine your, quote, fate. The past can influence, don't get me wrong. I mean, I have some past conditioning that I can say that, yeah, it pops up every once in a while. But it doesn't bother me anymore. It's like, so what? You know, I grew up in a household that there was a part of the family that was kind of a bit of a worrywart type mentality. And every once in a while, I'll get into my worry. But as soon as I realize and wake up that worrying is just a thought in the moment, and it's not necessarily true, it just allows me to I don't even have to do anything about it. It will go away. One of my favorite quotes is by Mark Twain. He says that, "I am an old man, and I've seen great many troubles, and most of them never happened." Our lives are a creation of the formless energy, of innate, infinite potential of who we are as human beings. And our well-being and our happiness isn't anything that we need to do to get. We just need to have a rise of consciousness and awareness that it's a part of who we are. It's our birthright. And for me to have that understanding and what it's done for me in my life is the reason why I started my coaching practice, and it's the reason why I'm sharing this with people. Because when you really get into it, an understanding of how we experience life, that's the greatest gift that we can give ourselves. When you know that feelings come from thought, and that it's okay to have bad feelings because you're going to. I have crazy thoughts all the time. It just makes me human. It doesn't make me broken. It just makes me human. And I used to be in a point where I was scared of bad feelings. And this understanding of just knowing that it's okay to feel what you're going to feel. But just know where your experience is truly coming from, that it's an inside out. And any feeling that you have, whether it's good or bad, whatever label you put on it, it's temporary and it's going to change. But to know that the feelings of love, the feelings of happiness, the feelings of peace and well-being, that's your default mechanism. I'm pretty sure I've shared the analogy with you if you're in a swimming pool and you're holding, it's like a little ball or beach ball or something underwater. That ball is your well-being, and its natural tendency is to rise to the top, just like a ball, ball's tendency is to rise to and float. Your well-being and happiness, natural default is to just to come out and be who you are. And the only thing that keeps us out of our well-being is thought in the moment. And as soon as you recognize that I'm having a low mood, that I'm just slipping out of my well-being, you don't have to change. You just recognize. You have another higher level of consciousness that says you're kind of in an outside-in thinking. You forgot where your well-being really comes from. And if I could just get you to understand, if you can awaken to that one concept, that your well-being, your okayness, your peace of mind, your happiness is innate. It is who you are because you're human. And there's nothing that you need to do to obtain it other than have a quiet mind. If you can just get to a point of not being scared of your experience of life and be okay when you feel sad and just know it's not permanent. Be okay if you feel depressed because it's not permanent. Okay to feel angry because it's not permanent. It's a part of life that will allow you, just lack of better word, see things clearer, have a more clarity of thought. And when you get bumped up against life, when those things arise that are frustrating, when you have the bill due and you're a little bit short, you're not going to make up a whole bunch of crap about what it means. What you're going to do is just take care of what needs to be taken care of. Show up and respond to what shows up. And when you respond to things showing up with the understanding that whatever shows up isn't going to take away or give you that sense of well-being, there's just a matter of just clarity of thought that just shows up for you. One of my mentors, George Spransky, made the comment that what this allows us to do is to be very grateful when we're in our highs and very graceful when we're in our lows. And this understanding is not something to teach you how never to feel bad again. It's just an understanding to know where those experiences are coming from. And for me to know that I have a spiritual energy that's got my back, that's going to give me a sense of well-being, and has given me a sense of well-being and happiness, and it never leaves me. And just to recognize that it's okay to feel bad. It really is. It's okay to have frustration, because to be honest with you, that's a part of human life. Opposition in all things, yin and yang, light and dark. But as human beings, a lot of times people get this idea that life is a struggle. I've just got to persevere, endure to the end, and just keep trudging along. And every once in a while, I'll just have some moments of joy and happiness. And I'm going to be maybe a little rude, but that's wrong. That's BS. Life is the opposite. It's to be joyful. It is to have a sense of well-being. It is to experience the fullness and the infinite possibilities that we have of happiness and joy. intermittent with a little bit of frustration and pain and sorrow. The majority of our life is designed for happiness. It's designed to thrive. And if I can, just like I say, if I can just get anything to you, no matter what you're up against, it will pass. You don't have to beat yourself up. Your well-being is there in any time that you want. It's going to show up. And life really is just a wonderful thing to live. It really is just, you don't have to create a wonderful life. You just need to awaken to the wonderful life that already has been given to you. So, end of our 8 weeks. I really have enjoyed the opportunity I've had to be able to share these ideas with you over these last 8 weeks. I'm not sure where I'm going to go, whether we're going to continue to do some of these different things. I'm thinking, and maybe some feedback from you would be nice, but I'm thinking maybe still kind of do some things every week, but maybe if there's like a specific subject matter that we want to talk about, in other words, how this understanding can help you in for instance, like in money. A lot of my clients that I work with in coaching are actually, they're kind of funny. They're fairly wealthy people who have really obtained a lot of success in their life outwardly, but then they find themselves that I'm still not happy. You know, I thought making the money would make me happy. And so I kind of work with them to kind of open up a little possibility that, you know, living the outside in life was real great for them maybe to make money, but it didn't design happiness. And so maybe we'll have a little discussion about finances, about how this understanding can actually help you, let's say maybe improve your finances. Again, we talked a little bit about relationships and how this understanding can help improve a relationship. And maybe we'll do that in the next few weeks. I don't know yet. So maybe let me know. Let me know what you're thinking. What would you like to pursue this? I know in the next few months I'm going to be doing some actual live webinars and also some live trainings down here in St. George, Utah, and trying to put those together. And so I'll probably maybe invite some of you that would like to come down to that. That would be fun. I'm hoping to be able to do some of those things in April, and I'll keep you in touch on what's going to be happening there. Right now, I'm also in the process of actually producing an online course that I will be making available to the public here, hopefully in the next 30 days. So I've got a lot on my plate going on, and this is just one of those things that's been fun for me to do. I hope you've enjoyed the time you have. But let's keep in touch. If any of you have questions, again, on my Facebook page, you can either message me or you can, send me an email, and let's keep the conversation going. And let me know what types of things would you like maybe to talk about in the next few weeks, and maybe I'll come up with another fun little 3-week or 4-week or some subject matter that we can discuss again and keep the conversation going. Again, thanks a lot for attending these 8 weeks. And like I said, I'm leaving them on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to probably leave them, like I say, on the Facebook page here, so that you can share them with other people. Please do, and you can refer back to them. I kind of hate to say that it's the end, but it is the end. But it's also a beginning. And I would love to continue the conversation with you and continue to explore the beautiful idea of inside out and our innate well-being. So until we talk again, See you later. This is Derek saying goodbye. And again, thanks for showing up. I really appreciate the attention that you've given. And thanks a lot. And I always love shout out to my wonderful niece, Jessie. Thanks for showing up. I really appreciate your support. Love you lots, and we will talk to you later. Bye.